We have such a nice crowd this evening, and I love to see when the community shows up for these meetings. It's always a delight. It is June 9th, 2025, and I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:01. I'd like roll call followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Councilmember Spaeth. Here. Vice Mayor Chance. Here. Councilmember Bennett. Here. Councilmember Hackey. Here. Councilmember Gibson. Here. Councilmember Stricula. Here. Mayor Nelson.
Here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I need a motion to approve the minutes from the May 12th council meeting.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Anyone abstain? All right, I need another motion to approve the minutes from the May 19th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Anyone abstain? All right, now it's time for the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Summer is here along with the cicadas, so I've got a lot of things to review. So I'll try and move rapidly. A couple of business items here. On Saturday, July 26th, Makino is hosting Makino Day at Makino Park. So appropriately, with the contributions that the employees of Makino made for the construction of that park, as well as its expansion, we have allowed them to make dedicated use of the park. They would like to have a temporary liquor permit for that event. Because that's city property, a motion of council would be appropriate to allow consumption of alcohol at that park during the event, and to do that via a motion.
Make
Okay.
that motion. Second.
All right, all in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed?
Secondly, this one is a little different but consistent with how council has handled items in the Mason Mile. City staff have been working with MAID CDC. There are a number of events and activities that are both being planned as well as envisioned, anticipated. Not everything is fully prepared or scheduled. Some of those may also include opportunities for service of alcoholic beverages on city-owned property within the Mason Mile areas, such as the plaza or East Main in the parking area. What staff is proposing in order to allow enough flexibility for the MAID CDC to accommodate such events, working with partners such as the American Legion or other nonprofits, is more of a somewhat open-ended motion where council would allow the MAID CDC or partnered organizations to apply for, obtain temporary liquor permits for alcohol consumption on designated city property within the Mason Mile for events and activities throughout 2025. Considering that those events are held in partnership with the City of Mason and the MAID CDC. Passage of this motion would allow the city to provide that same level of permission when held on city property, and to do that via motion.
All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion. Second.
All right, all in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed?
Next, the 2025 Music in Mason series kicked off last week, Friday. What I understand was a well-attended event, despite being abbreviated due to the weather. Again, not the cicadas, just rain, I understand. I wasn't there. But that event is going to continue each Friday in June and July at the Downtown Plaza, with the exception of Friday, July 4th. We'll have had an event preceding that that may make it less significant. Each concert features 2 acts. The first act begins at 6 p.m. and the second at 8 p.m. Special this year, as a continuation of last year, the Mason Market on the Mile, hosted in partnership with MAID CDC, is returning. 3 markets are scheduled to take place in conjunction with Music in Mason. So the first is on June 13th. So this Friday will be Music in Mason as well as Mason Market on the Mile, as well as June 27th and July 18th. Additional markets on the Mile will take place later this summer in August and September on other dates. Council is invited on Tuesday, June 17th Linder Center of Hope is hosting a ceremony groundbreaking for the facility's latest expansion, including new treatment spaces, clinician offices, neuromodulation space, wellness facilities, as well as residential units. That groundbreaking ceremony is being held at 10 a.m. on June 17th. Another unique item is the city is sponsoring free yoga classes to celebrate International Day of Yoga on Saturday, June 21st. What is interesting in that, there is a sunrise yoga class being held at the Aquatic Center at 7 a.m. You can follow that up by a yoga class at 9 a.m. at the Mason Municipal Center front plaza, right outside here. And then that evening at 7:30 p.m., a free yoga class on the downtown Mason Plaza. So those of you that want to make sure you get a full day of yoga, sunrise, noon, and sunset. Wednesday, June 25th, Warren County Municipal League is meeting at the Armstrong Center in Lebanon for a presentation from the Warren County Convention Visitors Bureau. Council members interested in attending, please let Jennifer I know. Also, coming up before we're able to have another council meeting is Red Rhythm and Boom on Thursday, July 3rd. It'll be held at the campus here. The event begins at 4 p.m. with kids zone activities and other attractions, including food and non-food vendors. Stage entertainment kicks off at 5:45 p.m. 6 p.m., concert begins with the opening act Tonic, Better Than Ezra at 8:30 p.m., and then a firework display by Rossie's Famous Fireworks beginning at 10 p.m. As always, this event is held by the city's Incident Command Team, this year led by Incident Commander, Public Utilities Manager Josh Creech. There are employees from every department in the city. They're involved in Incident Command, and on the day of the event, employees throughout all departments are on standby at the ready to put on that event. We are proud of how well that is done, how we've been able to contain the cost as well as increase the quality of the event. We continue to receive calls, emails this year. I expect those are going to accelerate in coming weeks, wanting to know all of the details that I just explained to you, plus many more. One thing to remind council as well as the public, on Thursday, July 3rd, the offices here will be closed. That doesn't mean no one is working. I think everyone will be working all day long, but the offices are closed in order both for safety, because there will be a lot of activity here with setup and movement, as well as to make sure that employees are focused on getting prepared and putting on the event. So please avoid the campus during the day until that night when we're ready to host you. And then Friday, July 4th, city offices will be closed in observance of Independence Day and employees to recover from the evening before. Finally, just want to make sure we actually will have a special brief meeting on June 23rd at 6 p.m. That will be with the Mason Art Center to have a photo op at the property that the city has set aside in anticipation of an art center at 741 and 42. That will be held at 6 p.m. on June 23rd. That is all I have, Mayor.
All right, great. A lot of stuff going on here in Mason. All right, next is recognition of visitors. If you'd like to come to the podium to speak, you can. But just a reminder that we do have a 5-minute time limit. And once you get to the podium, if you can tell us your name and your address.
Mayor Nelson, Council President, and members of the City Council. My name is Hong Mei Lee, and I live in, my address is 6616 Heritage Club Drive, Mason, Ohio. Thank you for the opportunities to speak with you tonight about our concerns regarding HB 1 and SB 88. Before moving to Mason in 2016, I lived in Los Angeles, Philadelphia, and Atlanta. When my family arrived in Mason, we immediately fell in love with this beautiful community, not just because of its landscape, but because of its friendly, open-minded people. My 2 children have also thrived here. My older son graduated from Mason High School in 2023, and my younger one is currently attending Mason High School. When we relocated from Atlanta, I was searching for a place where my kids could feel a deep sense of belonging. I was overjoyed to find Mason a dynamic, inclusive community with many Asian families and rich multicultural activities. After 9 years, this place truly feels home. However, HB1 and SB 88 pose serious threats to this vibrant community. First, they create a sense of alienation. These bills make my children and others in the Chinese and broader Asian immigrant community feel unwelcome, as if they don't belong. This is not only devastating for those directly affected, but also for the broader community that benefits from our presence and contributions. Second, these bills will hurt Mason economically. If Asian families no longer feel safe or welcome here, they may choose not to move to or remain in Mason. That means fewer students in our schools, reduced property values, and ultimately a decline in funding for essential public services, such as education, firefighting, and police. Third, these bills will drive businesses and global talent away from Mason. Companies and professionals seek inclusive, forward-looking communities. Mason could lose its appeal, not only regionally, but internationally. At a time when the US is competing globally for talent, these bills send the wrong message. Fourth, these bills may expose Mason to costly legal challenges, and we will have to spend taxpayers' money to conduct such kind of litigation. They likely violate multiple federal protections, including the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment by enabling discrimination based on national origin, the Due Process Clause of the 5th and 14th Amendments by restricting property rights without due justification, the Supremacy Clause by infringing on federal authority over national security and foreign policy, and the Fair Housing Act of 1968, which explicitly prohibits housing discrimination based on national origin. Lastly, every individual who comes to the US undergoes a rigorous vetting process by the Department of Homeland Security when applying for visas and green cards. There are robust federal systems in place to protect national security, though HB1 and SB 88 claim to enhance security, they do the opposite. By alienating communities, discouraging investment, and reducing resources, they make Mason and Ohio less secure, less prosperous, and less united. I urge you to speak with Ohio legislators and ask them to reject these bills in their entirety. Finally, I want to thank Councilmember Joy Bennett for her unwavering support for our community and all Mason residents. We are very proud to have you represent us. Thank you all for your time and for listening. Thanks.
Hi, Mason City Council members, and hi. My name is Angela. I'm a rising junior at Mason High School.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. Can you please state your full name and your address?
Okay, of course. So my name is Angela Zhang, and my address is 7836 South Trail. So I'm a rising junior at Mason High School, and as someone who loves Asian food and boba, which is a very delicious sweet drink with tapioca pearls, I recommend you try it. I oppose the HB1 and SB 88 because if passed, it would result in detrimental impacts on Asian restaurants and small businesses all across Ohio, which are the heart of the Asian community and more. Currently, there are approximately 833 Chinese restaurants in Ohio, including 185 in Columbus, 122 in Cincinnati, and 87 in Dayton. So as we know, many of these Asian restaurants and small businesses are owned by individuals of Asian descent, like the Chinese. And these proposed bills would target immigrants and foreign-born business owners based on their nationality under the guise of national security, which is discriminatory and also promotes unfair bias and suspicion. Asian entrepreneurs or families from abroad may also hesitate to open or expand businesses in Ohio if they perceive the state to be hostile to foreign ownership. And this would also directly hinder the economic growth and also, over time, of course, lead to a decline in the number of Asian-owned businesses in Ohio. And even if a business is not directly affected, the passing of HB1 and SB 88 will send a clear message that Asians, especially recent immigrants or foreign-born, are not welcome in Ohio. This fuels racism and hate, and likely leading to lower customer turnout and possibly even safety issues for business owners and workers. For these reasons stated above, I respectfully urge you to oppose HB1 and also SB 88, or at the very least, please also consider amendments that protect the rights and livelihoods of Ohio residents. Thank you for your time and listening to the concerns of those who proudly call Ohio home.
Dear Mayor Nelson and the council members, my name is Hao Kang. My address is 4032 Marble Ridge Lane, Mason, Ohio. Today, first of all, I'd like to sincerely appreciate the opportunity to let me speak tonight. As a concerned resident, I have called Mason home for over 20 years. I'd like to share with you the concerns and also address the profound implication of HB1 and SB 88. Under the current language of these two bills, any lawful visa holders, including permanent residents, are barred from owning property within 25 miles of critical infrastructure. This definition is so broad, it effectively encompasses entire Mason, Deerfield Township, and beyond. It's including a railroad, the telecommunication infrastructure, even including telephone poles and fiber optic lines. Tell me which inch of Mason doesn't have those. Chinese American in Mason, along with immigrants like us, has strengthened the community. We have contributed to the top-tier school, invested in local businesses, and pay taxes, which fuels Mason's growth, which we're proud of. We didn't come here for beaches, for palm trees. We came to build our future, to raise families. This is our home. Tonight, I'm not here to condemn you because you guys didn't start it. I'm here to ask for help. As a board member of Asian American Coalition Ohio, we have hosted a candidate forum in the past. We have invited you guys to come to our forum, engage with us. Personally, actually, I voted for some of you because I believe you can represent us. Now we're terrified because our neighbors, co-workers, even my kids' classmates, tomorrow could be forced to sell the house and leave Mason. But those people are hardworking, law-abiding residents. There's nothing to do with the fact that they didn't do anything wrong. It's only because this unjust law used national security to target everyday homeowners. It's not about the Chinese families. It's about American values. The Fifth Amendment guaranteed that no one should be deprived from property without due process. This bill violates the principle. In a dictatorship country, maybe sacrificing thousands to target a few to be the commonplace, but not here, not in America, not in the land of opportunity and freedom. So I urge you, please use your influence, use your network, talk to your coworkers, your neighbors, state legislator, talk to anyone who willing to listen. Tell them this is not just harm the immigrants, also harming the fundamental value this country stands. We need your leadership. Are you standing with us? Thank you so much for your time.
All right, dear city mayor and dear council members, my name is Zhenbin Zhang, and I live in 4027 Chanticleer Lane in Mason. I'm standing here today to express my strong concerns about HB1 and SB 88 for a couple of reasons, and most of the reasons are based on my personal experience. And I really think these two bills are unnecessary and will harm the education, not just locally, but domestically and even internationally. First of all, I think it's unnecessary because as an international student came into the United States a couple of years ago, I literally went through several safety checks. Okay. I came back to the United States in 2010 to pursue my PhD study. Before I came here, I need to get a F1 visa. For that, I need to fill out a couple of forms, need to get a lot of certificates, just to prove that I'm a safe student in the United States. Then after I get my PhD, I went for my postdoc study at the Yale University. To be able to work there, I had to get a H-1B visa. I need to fill out even more forms. And then my postdoc advisor need also to sign a lot of forms just to certify I'm a law-obeying student and a worker there. And after 2 years, I started my application for green card, and I have to say I need to fill out more forms, and more information from my family were digged out, and I was not even familiar with that information before. One of the questions is, what's the name of my grandfather? And I didn't even see him, so I don't know. I had to call my mom and dig all the information out. I'm telling you all these details just to prove that in order to work here, we have gone through so many security checks. And these two bills are really unnecessary because these two bills still assume people from China are unsafe to the US community. I think this is really, really unfair and unnecessary. I understand China and the US, the two biggest countries in the world, there's a lot of competition between them, and this kind of competition sometimes entails a lot of direct fight. But I have to point out that the fight should be the fight between US and China administration. Should be the fight between Trump and Xi Jinping. It should not be the fight between local lawmakers and our regular Chinese citizens here who are legally studying and working here and are contributing to our community. So this is my first reason that I think this bill is unnecessary. The second reason I think this is unnecessary is because it really hurts the education here. I am a professor of chemistry at the UC. So as an educator of higher education, I really care about education, not just in universities, but also in high schools and even elementary schools. I have 2 kids. My daughter is already 12, and we had the conversations a lot because, my daughter play with kids with different colors. So I should educate her the importance of treating her friends equally, regardless of the color, right? I ask her not to judge people just based on color. I ask her not to discriminate people around. But now I am really feared because I'm afraid maybe one day I will have to sit down with her and have a conversation. The conversation is about why we have to leave Ohio. I educated her not to discriminate people, but I'm afraid later she will be discriminated just because her dad was not born here in the US. So I'm standing here because we really would like help from everybody here.
Sir, I'm really sorry. You've reached the 5-minute allotted time. Can you allow time for our next guest, please?
Okay, yep, thank you. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Hi, dear Mayor and community members. My name is Yan Feng. My home address is 8268 Cora Court, Mason, Ohio. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. And first, I'd like to share a little bit of my personal story. My husband and I moved here after we graduated from medical school from China, in China. And my husband got his residence and fellowship training here, and he's a pathologist now. And I'm a clinical research professional working on to develop an immunotherapy strategy for cancer treatment. So we have 2 children here. They are loving and caring kids. And my older one, he's a rising junior, and my younger one, he will be in 7th grade in the coming school year. And they are proud and the mentoring swimming team, and my younger one played for Mason youth football team for the past 2 years. And he is proud to be a part of the Hope Squad this year. He's excited to help classmates or anyone from school who's struggling with mental health problem. So all those joyful and meaningful moments started with the decision that we made 14 years ago to move to Mason. And being able to own the house here gave us sense of stability and sense of belonging and hope of future. So by then, when we bought the house, we were on working visa, and it was not until 4 years later we become green card holder. And I was a long-time green card holder till last year. I want to point out one point is, a lot of people choose to be long-time green card holder, not because they don't love this country, only because green card gives them flexibility. They can go back and visit their parents if there's some emergency. So I want to see the bill of HB1 and SB 88. They deprive people's housing rights. So they shattering people's dream to own a house and raise a family here. And if this bill were introduced 10 years ago, my kids won't be able to grow up here. They wouldn't be able to making friends here. And if this bill were passed even last year, I would be forced to sell my house within 2 years. So I know a lot of people, They are college professors, they are engineers, they are scientists, they are teachers, they are small business owners, they are taxpayers, and they're working hard every day to contribute to the growth of this city and this state. But they are targeted by these two bills. And these two bills, they target on the innocent, law-abiding, innocent, ordinary people. So they violate the constitutional house rights, they violate the Fair House Act, and it bring back the painful memory that Chinese Exclusion Act and alien land law. So I sincerely hope you stand with us and help us oppose these two bills, and we and our children will be deeply grateful. Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council members. My name is Chen Wang. I live in 6826 Glen Cove Drive. So I'm here tonight as a neighbor and a volunteer, and most importantly, as a father. My two children attend Mason schools, and for the past 5 years, I've been a dedicated volunteer at their weekend school, the Huaxia Chinese School. Through that volunteer work, I've personally witnessed the incredible community that we are building here. I have seen how the Huaxia Chinese School, since its founding in 2007, has become a second home for over 150 Mason families like my own. It serves more than 200 students, and most of whom are also students in Mason outstanding public schools. For years, the school has partnered with the city to promote the multiculturalism that makes Mason so special, and our very presence helps attract new families to our city. I've proudly marched with my children in the Mason Heritage Parade, sharing our culture with the neighbors at the Taste of Mason Festival. I have also seen Mason High School students earn volunteer credits assisting with our enrichment classes. This is the strong, interconnected community we have built together. That is why I'm here tonight, raising an alarm about two state bills, House Bill 1 and Senate Bill 88. These bills are presented as a matter of security, but I'm here to tell you about the profound damage they will inflict on my family, our community, and the organization we value. To my family, this legislation feels like a betrayal. After years of contributing, volunteering, and build a life here, it sends a message that we are to be viewed with suspicion simply because of our heritage. It would force my wife and me to question our future in Ohio, and to look into the eyes of our children and wonder if they will truly be welcome here. The bills could even prevent law-abiding legal permanent residents from owning their homes in most of the state, which would be devastating to families who have followed every rule to be here. To our community, the damage would be just as real. By restricting who can buy property, these bills could lead to lower property values for everyone, which in turn threatens the tax revenue that funds our excellent schools and the city services. The unwelcoming atmosphere this legislation creates will make it harder for Mason to attract the global talent that our local companies depend on to innovate and thrive. And to the Huaxia Chinese School, these bills are an existential threat. Our school exists only because families choose to make Mason their home. If this law pushes current families to leave and deters new ones for arriving, our enrollment will shrink, and we could be forced to close. The community will lose not just the angry school, but a vibrant culture hub. Our presence at the Heritage Park and the taste of Mason would disappear. And the vital resources that provide a sense of belonging for hundreds of your residents would be gone. I believe security is vital, but it cannot be achieved by punishing or alienating the very people who make our community strong. As your neighbor, a father, and a community volunteer, I respectfully ask you to, first, acknowledge the harm. Please publicly recognize the specific threat that SB 88 and HB 1 pose to Mason families, our local economy, and our community institutions. Second, commit to a formal review. I urge you to place these bills on the future council agenda for a formal public discussion about their local impact and to consider adopting an official city position. Third, engage your lobbyists. Please direct the city's representative to monitor this legislation, report back on its progress, and be prepared to advocate on behalf of families who call Mason home.
Excuse me,
Thank you for
sir.
your time and your dedicated service to our community.
Hi, dear Mayor and council members, Special Scott, nice to see you again. My name is Stephen Fang, and I live in 6101 Bridgewater Court, Mason, Ohio. I've been fortunate to have a good neighbor, Scott's in-law, for 20 years. And I hope Cassie and Ed is doing well, and all your big family is doing well. I'm coming here to raise the concerns for the recently the bill in Ohio legislature. And I grew up in China. I want to give example of myself, like the immigrants, and see, I guarantee those people are good people. So I grew up in China, worked my way through college, before become an engineer for Cincinnati Milacron in Beijing. I was an engineer to service Milacron CNC machines all over China. And United States have been always to be my dream. And my first visit here is 1992, and it was life-changing. I was amazed how clean is the environment and the happiness of the people, friendly, and the kindness of my coworkers who gave me a ride in their convertible cars and take me to their family for barbecue. It's really friendly, life-changing experience. I was then started to dreaming about living here someday. A few years later, I had the opportunity to return to Cincinnati to have training here, and my friends take me a tour in their factory, and there's CNC machine laying there, and they saying they cannot find technicians to do that. I said, I can do it. And literally, and they end up hiring me here on the H-1 visa. And so I started working in the United States and bring my family here. It was 1997 at this time. So over the next few years after I come here, while I'm working at the Stanley Electric, that was the company, I was eager to learn and to grow. There's so good opportunities. You can go to college very easily, and I want to learn how computer works and how software can control a machine. I earned master's degrees in electrical engineer and also got an MBA. Americans have always been inclusive and welcome to hard workers and who are willing to learn and contribute to the society. So after my study, my career flourished. In 2005, I was hired at GE Aviation I'm happy to working on the most advanced GE aircraft engines to today. I have never experienced discrimination or hate at my workplace at GE and around me. To give back to the community, I have been deeply involved in Chinese-American culture exchange, like just said, Cheng said, we established a Chinese school here, and we have been operating here for 20 years, and with the great support from Mason City and Mason High School. In recent years, we have been heard about discrimination against the Chinese people in other parts of the country. Thankfully, we haven't felt it at Mason, but now there's a small group lobbying Ohio legislation to pass laws restrict people of China origin from buying houses. I was astonished to hear about that. I can guarantee, as myself, the Chinese people come here to United States with high hope for good life, respect for others, and strong work ethic. They come here pursue freedom and basic human right. Denying them the ability to buy a home is denying their place to live and grow. The people who are legally permitted to leave this country are qualified, examined, like the other professor said, the hard work individuals who have earned their place here through study and dedication. We must ensure they can live with dignity. I'm one of them. I am an example of them. Mason has been my home for 20 years. I hope the city can support us and help protect our brothers, sisters, and children. Let's work together, stop discrimination.
Sir, I'm really sorry. You've reached the end of your 5-minute allotted
And
time.
we are not axis of evil. Thank you. We are your friends and neighbors. Thanks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for offering me this opportunity to speak with you about my concern regarding the HB1 and SB88. My name is Xiang Zhang. I live in Mason in 7770 Hunt Club Drive. I work in a medical school as a professor and a director, leading one of the best equipped laboratories and one of the largest core facilities for biomedical research. I generate millions of dollars in revenue to Ohio and create jobs here. I have lived in Mason for 15 years, and I'm proud to be part of it. And I choose to settle down here because I value the American values, which includes the freedom, equality, and justice. However, the two bills against these core values, fundamentally, it is unconstitutional. The most serious flaw of the two bills is their logically inconsistency. Sound conclusions must be based on facts and evidence. These bills claim that home ownership is related to national security. However, there's no evidence to support these claims. There is no evidence to suggest that renting a house is safer for national security than owning one. So to protect our core values, we must remain vigilant about this kind of the bills. I kindly ask that you stand with us and ask the legislators to reject the two bills. Thank you.
Dear Mason City Council and Mason families.
I'm sorry, can you please state your name and your address?
Yes, my name is Marley Feng, and I live at 6537 Heritage Club Drive. I am an incoming senior at Mason High School, and I'm an active member in school clubs like National Chinese Honor Society, Science National Honor Society, and Science Olympiad, as well as Asian American Coalition of Ohio. I am a student, a daughter, and a proud citizen of Mason and of the U.S. Today, I am here to voice my opposition against House Bill 1 and Senate Bill 88. As a student of AP U.S. History and AP Government, we learn about the Constitution and the enshrined rights that are given not only to citizens, but also to individuals, such as the Equal Protection Clause and Due Process Clauses of the 14th Amendment. We learn about the Chinese Exclusion Act and Executive Order 9066. We learn about hate crimes and discriminatory practices. And while so many politicians rightfully preach about the American dream and opportunities for all, this bill effectively hinders immigrants that hope to move to the U.S. and live a better life. As a daughter of two incredibly strong and hardworking immigrants, I've watched in awe as my parents power through the struggles of daily life and always come up on top. I have personally endured comments about the food I eat, the traditions I partake in, and even racist slurs. And while I understand that the motives of this bill are to stop foreign adversaries that could impact the safety and well-being of the nation, this bill is not the adequate nor effective way to address this issue. As a citizen of Mason, I can't help but wonder how this bill will impact towns and cities across Ohio. From an economic standpoint, as previous speakers have mentioned, this bill hinders the growth of businesses and impacts the GDP of the state, which also then further impacts the GDP of the nation. From a safety standpoint, this bill could increase the number of racially motivated attacks and discriminatory practices. And in addition, a society fractured and separated automatically increases instability. So thank you today for giving me the opportunity to voice my concerns, and I urge city council members and the mayor to speak with legislators to reject these two bills. Thank you.
Okay, since it is it is about 50 minutes into the meeting. If you are speaking on House Bill 1 or Senate Bill 88, if you could maybe only tell us different things that we haven't heard yet might be beneficial.
Sure. So my name is Anquan Wang. I live in 6490 Sunny Drive, Mason, Ohio. So I've been living in Mason for 14 years. I feel, I have actually lived in Pennsylvania, New York, and Ohio. I feel Ohioans are the most welcoming and caring. Definitely better than New York people. So I can tell a small, story after I moved to Ohio. So one day, I went to Home Depot in, exit 22 of I-75, Westchester, so that new store. With my friend, I was, purchasing some, 2x4s for my garage projects. So we, after we loaded, roughly, 20, 2x4s onto a pickup truck, then we wanted to leave, but when a couple, they are in their, 60s, came to us saying, guys, you cannot do that. I was surprised, why? I just paid, I can leave. But they're saying, no, it's too risky to, carry those 2x4s like that. They need to be tied down. So, but we didn't prepare for that, right? They noticed that. So they came back to, their car and, picked out their, newly just, purchased tie-down straps and actually helped us, to tie down all the 2x4s, so that they would not move, when we transfer them. I just, then I ask them, since they just purchased, right? I asked them how much I should pay you back. They said, don't worry about it. Then just drove away. So I was so blown off by these people. I think Ohioans, these are kind of Ohioans, I am proud of, right? However, this SB 88 and HB 1 depicted a totally different Ohio, right? It's racist and xenophobic. So I actually have a question to those, politicians, right? I mean, who proposed this kind of bills. When can they start uniting people rather than dividing us? When can they start promoting understanding rather than?
Sir, I'm really sorry. You've
I'm
reached
sorry.
the time. If you allow time for the next guest, please.
So I can finish, right?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh,
There's
okay,
a
I'm sorry.
5-minute allotment for each
Okay.
guest. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
I do agree with you, though. Ohio does have some great people in it, very nice communities.
I agree as well. I just graduated from a New York City college, so Ohio is amazing in comparison. Hi, I'm Lalitia Acharya. I live at 4517 Woodside Place, Mason, Ohio. I came to the United States when I was 6 months old, and I understand that this bill is not necessarily targeting individuals like me, but even though I speak with an American high school, I have graduated from an American high school as well as an American university, they're targeting individuals like me. I came to the United States, 6 months old, was lucky enough to be somebody who was naturalized through my mother when I was 13 years old. But unfortunately, this bill continues to propagate a rumor that unless you are a natural-born citizen of the United States, which is something that only fate has provided to us, you are going to be treated as a second-class citizen. And I understand that it's also not the individuals on the city council who have created this bill. However, I think it's just as important that legislation at every single part of our government is critical. And whether or not Ohio's HB 1 or SB 88 is supported, declined, we in Mason and we in Mason City Council have the authority and the commitment to the constituents who you represent to make sure that every single person here feels safe, included, and supported. My parents would not have been able to buy the house that I grew up in had this bill been in place 13 years ago. And it continues to systematically treat Asian Americans as well as immigrants as second-class citizens. And so what I ask the people on this council to do is, of course, reach out to your network, reach out to the people, the state legislatures that I'm sure you are well connected to. But I also ask for you to come up with ways for us to create legislation in Mason that is going to protect these individuals. For so long, we have been on the offensive, but I also fear a world where this bill does pass. And how are we going to defend the people in this room, the people in Mason who call Mason our home? How are we going to make sure that we protect them and make sure that they aren't driven out of their homes, their businesses, their schools, and the place that we are so proud to be a part of? Thank you so much, and I appreciate the time.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor and council members. My name is William Ding. I live on 6730 Kinland Way, Mason. I'll tell a personal story. I'll be quick. 9 years ago, I moved from Illinois to Ohio, and I did have a choice to live in Kentucky or in Ohio. My wife and I decided we will find and buy a house in Mason, and my job is in Florence, Kentucky. I chose to drive 1 hour one way a day for 2 years until I found a job in Ohio. Because Mason is a welcome community. So I will say, very similar to many of you, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm an employee, I'm a proud registered voter of the Warren County. and I'm a contributing member of the community. We cannot choose where we were born. We can be proud of where we were born. We can choose to be law-abiding citizens, just like you are. However, this bill makes me nervous because this bill is targeting people, law-abiding, loving community people, based on their origin of country, not based on their performance, not based on their personalities, but based on where they were born, which we cannot choose. This bill makes me nervous because I have 2 daughters. We've been here. My 2 daughters are in Mason School. They're happy. They don't need to understand this. They don't need to fight the fight the prior generations and my generations, your generations have been fighting for. We have better things to do. This bill sends a wrong message, ladies and gentlemen. This bill sends a wrong message. Today, it is about the Asian community. Tomorrow, it will be some other community. This bill is turning fear into law. I urge you to help us. I am nervous. I want to be in Mason. I want to live in Mason. I am your good neighbor, and I am a good employee. So please, help us. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ji-Yun Zhang. I live in Mason, 3769 Marble Ridge Lane, Mason, Ohio. Originally, I didn't want to say something here. I just want to listen. But until like the 6:50, my daughter texted me a message. So I don't want to say a lot. I just want to read her message, okay? She said, "Come on, Dad, you got this. Remember to say this is discrimination against Chinese Americans. Discrimination means the unjust treatment of different categories of people, especially on the ground of ethnicity, age, sex, or disability." That's all I want to say. So my daughter is 11 years old. If she has these feelings, how about the adult? You should not cheat yourself or pretend you don't know anything, right? As an adult, we should make the right decision. What we should support, what we should against. Thank you.
Okay. I know there's some other people here who may want to speak on some other have some other issues to speak about. Is there anyone here wishes to speak on something besides HB1? There's a few. Okay. So after you speak, if we can just have some other individuals come to the podium. I think we hear you loud and clear, and we understand what you're going through and what you're saying, and we appreciate that you're here tonight to speak with us. Yeah. You can go ahead and speak, but then I would like to give the microphone to some other individuals who have other things that they need to address with council as well.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think it's a very long day for you guys, and I appreciate that. And I really didn't plan to speak until last night. You know, I want to express, share my story. Let's say that, and I want to make it a little interesting to you guys. So I was Chinese American as well. I came here United States. I'm Frank Luo, 6635 Sunny Drive, Mason, Ohio 45040. I repeat this address every single time I call customer service or any place. Right? They ask me. I'm very fluent on that. And I want to be frank with you. That's my name. I go by Frank. And then if you watch that, everybody loves Raymond. His dad is Frank, right? So that's how I got his name. I want to be frank with you. And 1999, I was 29 years old. And my wife and I decided, for some reason, job transition. And we decided, why don't we try to go to the United States? So I applied UC, and actually several of them. UC is the only one that gave me admission. And, but I was a little hesitant because she got a comfortable job. I got a very comfortable job as well after transition. So we decided, we apply the visa together as a family, F1, F2, if you're familiar with that, which is really rare. I don't think anybody here had did that, all right? So we went to the consular and at Guangzhou, and then the visa officer separated us, two different windows. They asked us the same question, about me, okay? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? And unfortunately, my wife and I actually didn't have a matching answer to those. And so obviously that they cannot give me the answer, the visa. But they didn't deny us. They sent us home and say, hey, provide some more information to verify your relationship. So which we did, because my wife and I are actually high school classmates. We have met 14 years before that. So it's not hard to provide those evidence. So second interview, they gave us the visa. The visa officer actually handed the passport and material back to me and smiled at me and said this to me, that you two need to communicate more. So actually, I think that's a kind of national security form, right? Screening people who comes to the United States. So we came here in September 6, 1999. We landed here in Cincinnati, and I stayed here for 26 years. And in the day that, hours after we landed here, I walked by Clifton Avenue. Then you see, that, there's a restaurant area. We live in Rito 485 at that time. The building was torn down, actually, many years ago. And then we walked there, and then to the restaurant area. And young female student actually sitting at the UC Law School's building. I think that building was torn down as well, as I found out last month that I went to the conference there. So the building, she was sitting in that steps and smiling at me and my wife. And I feel pretty good that day. And I still remember that moment. That's why I went back to, and every time I went that area, I want to go there and take a look and see how things goes. So the rest of the story is probably just like any other immigrants here, class, job, and house, family, drive license, all those things, right? Majority of time, at that time, I was on working permit. And then, student visa, working permit, H-1B, until 2013, I got a green card, and then naturalized in 2017 or 18, I don't remember. But I'm a US citizen right now. My wife actually decided not to because she has a worry that about, her parents and then back and forth traveling issues. But I decided to naturalize, and then because sometimes I want to speak a little bit, speak out, vote. So I voted every single major event here.
Sir, I'm really sorry. We've reached the end of your 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, let me just finish that very quick.
I'm sorry. We have a lot of guests here today.
All right. All right. Thank you very much for your help, and I hope that you can help us.
Okay, would anyone else like to come to the podium?
Good evening. My name's Teresa Schrader. I live at 8602 Woodland Point. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I have had the honor of teaching yoga at the community center for the past 3 years. Sorry, I gotta put my glasses on. Tonight, I want to speak not only about the recent appearance policy, but I want to talk about the City of Mason's brand and its values. A brand is not just a logo, it's the soul of a community. It's how we operate, how we serve, and how we show up for one another. This most recent policy does not reflect the heart of who we are as a community. This policy tells people like me, people who are deeply committed to this city, that our individuality is a problem to be fixed or hidden. What message does that send to the diverse, modern, and expressive residents we serve? Mason says it values inclusion, connection, and wellness. We promote ourselves as vibrant, forward-thinking, and community-driven. But this policy feels rooted in outdated ideas in conformity and control rather than authenticity and trust. At the community center, we wear athletic gear. We move, we sweat, we laugh, we connect. Our tattoos and brightly colored hair don't distract from that, and in fact, can help us connect to our community. Our patrons have not commented on or complained about tattoos or hair color. They are as confused and disheartened and are worried. They're about to lose beloved instructors over a decision that doesn't reflect their values either. What made this even more difficult was how the policy was handled. I had a meeting on Wednesday and was told I had to sign off the new policy by Sunday, and if I chose not to and not to comply, that there was not a place for me at the community center. That message was clear, harsh, and incredibly disappointing. It created fear instead of fostering collaboration. This is not just about one policy, it's about the direction Mason is heading and why City Council absolutely has a role to play here. If this policy is part of the brand the city is building, then yeah, the brand needs to change. I am not asking for a free-for-all. I'm asking for consistency, inclusion, and respect. I'm asking that we center the conversation not on appearance, but on the experiences we provide our residents and how we make them feel. Let Mason be a city that values people over polish, substance over surface, and connection over control. That's the brand I thought we stood for when I was hired to work at the community center, and that's the brand I believe is still possible if we listen, reflect, and lead with heart. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Shelley Barron-Davidson. I'm not actually a resident of Mason, but we do live in Mason City School District. We've been here for 27 years. Both of our kids went K through 12 all the way. So I've been committed to the city for a very long time. I've worked
Ma'am, can you state your address?
I'm sorry, yeah. 7956 Tyler's Way, Westchester, Ohio, 45069. I've been an employee of the city for almost 6 years as a fitness and yoga instructor. It has been an unbelievably rewarding and beautiful time for me as a person, and to be able to connect with members of the community and be able to teach them yoga and health and wellness. It's been amazing. We have a different dress code at the community center. I came right from teaching class, so I'm sorry I'm not more professional, but I am professional for me. But when they rolled out this policy, first of all, there was no exceptions for the different departments and the different job descriptions. The policy caused a lot of concern because there were things in there like you can't wear athletic shoes, and that's what we do. So there was no clarification. Further, the entire policy talks about furthering Mason's brand, and I'm not sure what that means exactly. What is the brand? I can see the city's mission statement, and I can see Mr. Hansen's statement as to the progressive nature of our community. But what this appearance policy did was nothing to do with progressiveness, nothing to do with welcoming community of a vibrant, diverse, people of many shapes, sizes, and colors, is what we see at the community center. And that policy was telling us that we all needed to dress exactly the same, almost, that we needed to cover up any bit of personal expression that we had. And I know lots of people have tattoos for very, very personal reasons and don't want to be told that they need to cover them up. Anyway, so the city is very inclusive, and the policy does not communicate that, and I'm unclear when the word brand was tossed around so much in the policy what that means. Because if we are a beautiful, welcoming, so I'm so happy to hear that that's been ever the people's experiences, community, then we should allow the employees to dress in a way that's professional, but also express ourselves, because we do connect on such a deep, deep personal level with our members. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Veronica Cordero. My address is 321 Sands Avenue. I am in Monroe, but I do work for the city of Mason, and I grew up here. I went to high school when the building just opened, so we were the freshman class coming in, and I was the only Latin person in the entirety of my class and basically the entire school. And seeing how the community has exploded and grown in diversity and in vibrancy has been absolutely amazing. So it has been an absolute pleasure to work here and be able to teach fitness to a huge variety of people. I mostly teach a lot of the senior classes, and one of the first things that they said when I started to take over was, don't take it easy on us. Just because we're older doesn't mean we're dying. And so I took that and I ran with it so hard, and I just love being able to be around them and love being able to connect with them. Even though the age is different, we still have so much in common, and none of them have ever cared of bright purple hair, which is how I was hired, and any tattoos or anything. Sometimes they don't even notice I have them because my arms are flailing and they're trying to figure out what I'm doing. And so when this policy was tried to be enacted, it felt like such a huge betrayal towards us. And the fact that we were told not to include them because it wouldn't affect them, even though it would essentially would affect them, because if we are not being able to be 100% authentic and be with them and who they want us to be always, then it's not really the same thing. It's not really us. And then when we were looking for the brand that was so pushed through on the policy, I was able to find a mission statement underneath the employee page, and it says, "We are driven to make a difference. We work responsibly, speak honestly, act compassionately, and stand accountable to those who entrust us with their lives, their families, their livelihood, and their dreams. Together, through the guidance of our community and the initiative of our employees, we make the difference that promises Mason an even better tomorrow." This policy goes completely and utterly against this mission statement. The policy begins with calling Mason a premier community, which is exactly as is, but it also makes us feel, us who have colored hair or tattoos, that we need to cover that up because then we're not premier enough to stand and be the face of Mason. What does that say to other people in the community that also have these kind of traits? They want to express themselves, want to have colorful hair, want to have tattoos that mean something really special to them. Are they not premier to be here then? That's not what we want to portray. That is not at all who we want to be. That's not the city I grew up in. We have become such a beautiful community full of vibrancy, and start to excluding people like that just seems completely backwards, and that is not something that should be pushed. I do understand wanting to have a more cohesive look and basing it with our job titles, but not the way that it was treated. We were, as was said, we were forced to like almost sign it, or we wouldn't have a place here anymore. And what does that say when we have welcomed everyone with open arms to then tell us that we then are not welcome here? So that is what I have to say. Thank you so very much.
Okay, would anyone else like to come to the podium? All right, moving on. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Hi, I'm Laura Kajawa. I live at 4827 Angeline and Mason. And I'm here to really just speak for the community center members. These wonderful women that just spoke mean an awful lot to us. None of us have really gone to council before or spoken in front of council, but we had to do it for them because they mean so much. When we learned about this recent proposal, although it was well-intended, as I'm sure it was, it really had a harmful impact. It was definitely undermining morale, infringing on their personal expression, and disproportionately affecting certain groups. When they were affected, we were all affected. It meant an awful lot to us, what was happening to them. The community center has become much more than just a facility. It's a space that offers an open, welcoming, and healthy experience. It brings us real joy and connection. And it's because of these instructors that we have that. What truly makes all of it work is their energy, their dedication, and their ability to create this inclusive environment for all of us to thrive and be healthy. While I appreciate that policy was pulled back, we do remain concerned that a new version may once again fail to align with Mason's reputation as being progressive, innovative, and an inclusive community. If we're truly to live up to the brand and the values that we promote, Mason must ensure that all policies are created transparently, equitably, and with the input of those affected. I urge the city leaders and city council to engage with staff members in shaping any future policy to ensure it reflects who we are and who we all aspire to be. Thank you.
All right, is there anyone else who'd like to come to the podium?
I'm Fia Xie, living in 6419 Fairdos Drive, Mason, Ohio, very close here. I love Mason so much. We moved here since 2018 because my husband got a job at the GE. And my younger daughter graduated from the Mason High School last year and worked for P&G. My son at OSU State studies computer science. I have 3 kids. We live in America for 20 years. I always tell my kids, when you got a problem with your classmates, friends, or teachers, don't think about the erase, because this is not help you solve the problem. So we are very, very happy at the American in the past 20 years. But this time, for the House Bill 1, or HB 1 and SB 88, I felt deeply hurt. Because these 2 bills, just like 2 stickers on my face. And shows I'm a bad person or dangerous person. So I always think our state should be a place welcome everybody. The wish build the happy life here. It includes the people from China. So I hope all of you say no to these bills. Thank you, all of you. Yeah, my language is not so good. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to say this. Thank you again.
All right, anyone else? Okay, moving on. Next is Resolution 2025-12. This is a public hearing. So I'd like to open up the public hearing at 8:22. We need to read it by motion, okay. Before we do that, we're gonna make a motion to read by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed?
Adopting the budget of the City of Mason for the year January 1, 2026 through December 31, 2026.
Okay, we are going to open the public hearing, so if anyone would like to speak on Resolution 2025-12, you may approach the podium. Okay. I will close the public hearing at 8:23. I need a motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
All right, council discussion. All right, roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Chance?
Yes.
Councilmember Bennett?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gibson?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. Resolution 20, I'm sorry, you didn't get me.
Councilmember Spade?
Yes.
Sorry.
All right, Resolution 2025-13. We are going to read it in its entirety. Jeff?
Thank you, Mayor. Commending Tim Newman for his outstanding service to the Intercommunity Cable Regulatory Commission and the City of Mason. Whereas Tim Newman is retiring after providing 32 years of dedicated service to the Intercommunity Cable Regulatory Commission, ICRC, a vital organization that provides transparency and accessibility in local government by streaming and airing city council, township, and school board meetings across the greater Cincinnati area. And whereas Tim began his career with ICRC in 1993 as a remote production specialist, then quickly rose through the ranks as production manager and director of operations before becoming executive director in 2018. And whereas under Tim's leadership at ICRC, the organization has upgraded its government production units and TV trucks to high-definition systems, added several communities to the Council of Governments, and has led a significant renovation of ICRC's studios in Sharonville. And whereas under Tim's leadership and dedication, ICRC has played an essential role in strengthening public access to information, ensuring that Mason citizens remain informed and engaged in the decisions that shape our community. And whereas Tim's commitment to public service, technical excellence, and community outreach has had a lasting and meaningful impact on the City of Mason. And whereas Tim's retirement marks the end of an era defined by professionalism, innovation, mentorship, and unwavering dedication to the power of communication to bring communities together. And whereas a grateful community of Mason council members, employees, and residents wish Tim Newman continued success and happiness in retirement and thank him for his 32 years of service to ICRC, the City of Mason, and the greater Cincinnati region. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Mason, Ohio, Section 1, that the Clerk of Council B is hereby directed to certify a copy of this resolution to Tim Newman. Section 2, that this resolution shall take effect and be enforced from and after the earliest period allowed by law.
All right, thank you. Jennifer?
Yeah, I'm not sure if Tim's here oh. Sorry, it's been a number of years, so I didn't even recognize you, but yeah, even Eric said, where is it? Tim, if we could have you come up to the podium, I think the resolution said it all, but just on behalf of the city and Eric, myself, and the rest of the staff that you've worked with, we really do appreciate all that you have done. You've been such a great partner. You and your team have just been so wonderful to work with, whether it's not only the council meetings that you video for us and live stream for us, but also all the events. I know you were at our recent Vietnam Veterans Ceremony and helping us out there. You helped us tremendously throughout the bicentennial and all the different activities there. And the Heritage Festival, you're always a constant there as well. So we just appreciate all that you have done for the city, and you and your team have done for the city. And we wish you much success in your retirement. And if you ever need anything, we're here.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm pretty much blown away by this. I mean, I knew it was coming, but to hear Jeff read that resolution, I'm very thankful. Thankful to the mayor and thankful to everyone on council. I've been lucky to meet some of you. You came to our studio to do your candidate recordings a few years ago. So, and I've known Eric for many, many years. I was just thinking back about covering old city council meetings in the building on West Main Street, having to take video equipment up this flight of stairs to that second floor and cover meetings. So I've got a lot of great memories in my 32 years of ICRC and working with Mason. And I live in Mason, so I'm very proud of that, and I'm very proud of this resolution. I appreciate it.
All right, I need a motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
Council discussion? All right, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? All right. Resolution 2025-14, I need a motion to read by title only.
So moved.
Need roll call for it?
With a roll call on the resolution, or no?
Okay, we can do roll call. That's fine.
Councilmember Bennett?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gibson?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Spate?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chance?
Yes.
All right. Resolution 2025-14, I need a motion to read by title only.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed?
A resolution determining that the petition for the creation of the Greater Cincinnati Tennis Community Authority complies with the requirements of Ohio Revised Code, Section 349.03, fixing the time and place for a hearing on the establishment of the Greater Cincinnati Tennis Community Authority and declaring an emergency.
Eric?
Thank you, Mayor. This is one step of what has been many steps over the last 2 years to secure the future of tennis in Mason. This has been a heavy lift for the entire region, but specifically the City of Mason, together with Warren County. Council will recall the Master Cooperative Agreement, which was adopted by the primary partners to move forward what is actually an enormous project, both in terms of agreements, contracts, perhaps most visibly construction currently on the site, which is at a feverish pace to have the entire campus ready for the tournament in not 6 months, not 4 months. How many months is it now? 3 months? There's still a long ways to go, but
2 months.
2 months?
2 months.
What happened to May?
It's gone.
Tennis will go. With completion of this and a step at our next meeting, what this does is it moves forward one of the pieces of that Master Cooperative Agreement, which is establishing what is called a new community authority. That is, in simple terms, a vehicle that allows a public entity to be created over an area, in this case, the tennis campus. That then provides services such as recreation and can collect fees from the sales, the admissions, and the tickets at the tennis tournament. BMOC has requested this action to provide them resources for maintaining the asset while they have the management agreement there. And the city had committed to leading the formation of the NCA. What Resolution 2025-14 does is first it acknowledges that the city has received a petition for the organization of what will be called the Greater Cincinnati Tennis Community Authority. That is the new community authority and the specific name for this instance. The resolution also sets a public hearing that will be held on July 14th of this year. So at our next council meeting, a public hearing will be held regarding the petition for the organization of that tennis authority. Council will not need to take any action on the hearing itself. However, there will be an ordinance on the July 14th agenda to establish the terms and conditions for the formation, the authority, and the operations of that new community authority. That legislation will include an emergency clause so that this new community authority will be operational prior to this year's tournament, which begins August 5th. Additionally, a motion by council at the July 14th meeting will be needed to appoint members to the new board. And per the agreement, those members include representatives assigned by BMOC, Warren County, as well as a joint representative and city representatives. This is a lot of work, a lot of contractual agreements, a lot of negotiations, 1 or 2 attorneys, maybe more months than there've been. And attorneys, but a lot of really concerted work, effort, goodwill in order to move forward what is a historic regional effort that Mason has taken a leadership role in. So a lot of exhaustion, but also a lot of pride in the work that's established here. With the end result being Mason will continue to be the home, an even grander home for tennis throughout the Midwest, throughout the nation on a global scale. And this time with year-round activation at the campus. With all that, Resolution 2025-14 is the first step in what is a very significant process to make sure that we meet these deadlines and tennis is able to move forward this year with the new community authority. It is recommended for adoption.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? I need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Any council discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gibson?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chance?
Yes.
And Councilmember Bennett?
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-52. I need a motion to read by title only.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes. Yes.
Any opposed?
Authorizing the acceptance of certain donated easements and the acquisition of other certain easements and work agreement as part of the Mason, Montgomery, and Tylersville intersection improvement project and declaring an emergency.
All right, Kurt?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and members of council. The Mason, Montgomery, Tylersville intersection improvements will include additional turn lanes at the intersection, as well as a new traffic signal and additional street lighting and other improvements To date, the city's received $1.6 million OKI grant and also a Ohio Public Works Commission grant of just under $800,000 towards the construction of the project. The grant did include $500,000 for right-of-way acquisition, and the ordinance tonight is for that acquisition. There are 3 parcels we need permanent or temporary easements from. The City of Mason is Mason City Schools, I'm sorry, is one of those. They've agreed to donate the right-of-way needed on their parcel, and the ordinance tonight has the attachment is the appraisals that were done by ODOT approved appraisals and appraisal reviewers. That is part of what we have to do for the federal funding involved in the project. So 2025-52 authorizes the payment of those easements, accepts the easements, and allows Eric to sign for those easements. It does include an emergency clause, and that's just with the timing of the project. That emergency clause is needed to keep us on schedule. We anticipate the right-of-way being complete late this summer and construction to begin in spring of next year. So with that, ordinance 2025-52 is recommended for adoption. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? I need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Any council discussion? All right, roll call.
Councilmember Gibson.
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula.
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes.
Councilmember Spaeth.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chance.
Yes.
Councilmember Bennett.
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-53. I need a motion to read by title only.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
An ordinance allowing the city manager to accept a non-exclusive revocable maintenance license granted by Warren County Board of County Commissioners.
Kurt?
Yes, thank you. This ordinance is a little bit unusual. It's way outside the city. It's a piece of property that was actually owned by the former owners of the golf course. And at that time, they had put in some wells down by the Little Miami River that we use along with a water line, or we would call it the raw water line, that feeds one of the ponds at the golf course, and we pump out of that to irrigate the golf course. That line was on, because it was on a piece of property that the former owners owned, there was no easement recorded. With the King Avenue project, that piece of property eventually ended up being purchased by the Warren County Commissioners. And so what this license agreement does is allows us to keep that water line on that property for the foreseeable future. The only reasons it would be revocable would be if we were to abandon the line or if we were to replace it with a permanent easement in the future. The raw water line, we estimate we get about 25 million gallons a year to water the course, which would well exceed $200,000 annually. So it is vital to the operation out there. So ordinance 2025-53 is definitely recommended.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? All right, any council discussion? I have a quick question for you, Kurt. So are you saying because it's a well, we're not going to have to pay the $200,000? And if we
Right,
didn't
right.
have this, then we would have to pay
Yes,
$200,000?
yes.
So this is a
Yep,
substantial
exactly.
savings
Yeah,
for the taxpayer.
savings to,
Okay.
yep. So we don't have to purchase water from a potable water system. We can just get the raw water from the wells.
Okay,
Exactly.
that's great.
Yep.
All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Stricula.
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes.
Councilmember Spaeth.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chance.
Yes.
Councilmember Bennett.
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey.
Yes.
Councilmember Gibson.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 2025-54. I need a motion to read by title only.
So moved. Second.
Jeff? I'm sorry, all in favor?
Amending ordinance 2024-78 and authorizing a related purchase and sale agreement between the City of Mason and ICRC as part of the Economic Participation and Performance Grant Agreement incentives.
All right, Eric?
Thank you, Mayor. This is actually a housekeeping item, but it is also an opportunity to remind everyone that at the same time that we are working on securing tennis, We also secured the largest economic development expansion job creation project in the region in 2024. That was with ICRC, which is one of our corporate headquarters on Innovation Way. What this ordinance does, it actually completes that incentive agreement. At the time, the council allowed for an incentive agreement, a combination of funds as well as property if we should control the property. Since that time, the city did close on the former JHHA property next to ICRC. So what this ordinance does is it follows up on our commitment, allowing us to substitute a portion of that property to provide for ICRC's expansion in exchange for some of the value of the incentive originally authorized. So this was anticipated at that time. This allows the actual sale of the property through the Mason Port Authority so that they can use the proceeds of that to reduce the amount of the dollar incentive. Okay, so a housekeeping measure, but it does allow us to finish up on what was a very attractive economic development opportunity for the city as well as the region. Ordinance 2025-54 is recommended.
All right, thank you. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? I need a motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
Any council discussion? Roll call?
Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Spaeth,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chance.
Yes.
Councilmember Bennett,
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibson,
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula.
Yes.
All right, next is time for committee reports. Does anyone have a committee report they'd like to?
Mayor?
Yes.
I have something real quick. The Rules Committee did not meet since the last time we've had a council meeting, but as the chair, I did want to give an update because I think it was the last meeting when we passed the resolution in regard to unregulated intoxicating hemp. And I did ask our city manager over the last week whether there was any updates on that legislation. And so the last word was that the Senate bill was passed that put an age requirement on purchasing hemp-infused beverages and could only be sold with a liquor permit. No word yet on what permits or how that would work. Other intoxicating hemp products could only be sold at dispensaries. And I believe now they're waiting on House action. Has there been anything else since I got this update? Okay.
Not they once told me.
Okay, so that's where we are. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Downtown Committee met since our last council meeting. We did have the Community Development Corporation come in again, as they are a big part of this process. They've been working, as many of you know. We had the preliminary studies done for the Mason Mile. That work was done by Randall Gross and Common Ground. Then they have since hired a company to do the master planning. That is well underway. We had a project action committee meeting with the CDC and with the contractor that's doing that work. One of the things that was said at the time was the work that was done ahead of time that they would normally do has made their job much easier, and they are well ahead of schedule now, and we're going to be meeting in July to get the initial, draft of the master plan and to review that, and then shortly thereafter we should be getting the master plan from this group. So things are progressing very well, and pretty excited about what's to come with the results of this master plan.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else? All right, I have two committee reports. The Arts and Cultural Committee met. We talked about the master plan for Heritage Park, talked about the restrooms there and what it's going to take to move that progress along. We also talked about the Arts Park, which is the 50-acre land that is near the downtown. We talked about, we're still talking about making that basically a nature park with walking paths and art sculptures and a meditation garden. And so we're moving forward on that. We have a meeting tomorrow. We're going to discuss that a little bit more. It's very exciting. Also, we talked about if you are interested in arts in the park, you can still register for some of the camps there for your children. The Small Business Committee met as well, and there is the Community Impact Award out there. So the City of Mason, in partnership with Mason Deerfield Chamber, is asking you to share a story about how a local small business owner-operator is making a significant impact in the quality of life here in Mason through their work to build community spirit, pride, and collaborating with other small businesses, growing the small business community, connecting residents, and demonstrating support for local charitable organizations while showing compassion and kindness to others. So if you would take a moment to nominate one of the local businesses here, the deadline for the nomination is August 1st, and you can go to imaginemason.org to submit your nomination. Let me see. We also talked about the city staff has been great in trying to help our small businesses, and they have created on the imaginemason.org website, there is a whole section to new business. And so if you are thinking about starting a new business or you just started a new business, please go to imaginemason.org and check out all the information, the details, the links, and everything that can help you. It's a plethora of information. And also, we talked about adding that information to some of the permit applications as well, just so that they have that information available to them. I think that is it for the Small Business Committee. Anyone else? Okay. All right, next is old and new business. And I have a couple things real quick. All right, we have Quinlan Light that I would like to appoint to the Mason Port Authority. Quinlan moved to Mason for the position with L3 Harris in September of 2023. He currently serves as the Vice President and General Manager of the Space and Sensors Program at L3 Harris. He has a deep background in the aerospace industry across a variety of executive positions. He is an undergrad at Eastern Connecticut State University. He has a master's in business administration and finance from the University of New Haven. He lives in the city of Mason with his wife and family. So I do need a motion to appoint Quinlan Light to the Mason Port Authority.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Great. That's really good for the city and for the port, so we're happy about that. I just have one more quick thing. Music in Mason kicked off their summer concert series this last Friday, and even though it rained towards the end, it was a huge success. It was such a great time seeing all of the community get together to be able to laugh and socialize. It is just such a great event for our community, and it is happening again this Friday, and this Friday we have the Market on the Mile. So I encourage all of you to come by and check it out. And get to meet some new neighbors that you haven't met before. All right, anyone else have any old and new business?
Mayor? Oh.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Bennett?
Yes, I've got two things. First of all, I want to thank everyone who came tonight to share your personal experiences, particularly as immigrants and folks who were born outside of the United States. I think it's really important for us to hear what it's really like to come, the process, the screening that's involved, why you came, how happy you are to be here and be part of our community. So thank you. I know this was a long night and you took time out of your summer to come and talk with us. So thank you very much for that. I have asked our city staff to draft a letter that we would send with our lobbying team. So we actually have lobbyists who work on our behalf with the Ohio General Assembly. And they are able to monitor what's happening in the House and Senate here in Ohio and let us know things like what's happening with legislation around intoxicating hemp. They also are giving us updates on House Bill 1 and Senate Bill 88. We understand there's supposed to be a hearing later on this week, and they're expecting some amendments to those bills. Obviously, we have not seen those amendments yet, and I think that your stories give us really good reasons for concern. So the letter that we have drafted really specifically speaks to the economic impact of people not being allowed to purchase property. We have a huge international population here in the city, which is a gift. It is a strength of ours. We have Procter & Gamble that is located here and has thousands of employees that come into Mason, and many are moving here now that they've notified us that they're closing the Winton Woods facility. They're adding more. They're building on to the property here. P&G has made Mason. Many people come to this city to live because we have such a great community. And P&G recruits from out of the country in addition to recruiting Americans. I have neighbors and many family friends who have come to do research, to work in, because primarily Mason started out as an R&D facility doing research and development. It's now going to have a lot more. But P&G has many employees who are legally here, not citizens, have gone through the screenings that you all have talked about, who have been vetted and approved and are doing valuable work and contributing in all the ways that you all have talked about. And so I think it's incredibly scary to think that our state might prevent honest, hardworking people who are following the rules from actually making homes here. That could devastate our city. I won't even talk about the moral issues about it. You've all articulated those really well. So I would really like to hear from each member of council what your thoughts are on sending this letter. I think it's incredibly important that we speak for our constituents who have asked us to help. Yes, I want to have the conversation right now tonight. You've had a chance to read the letter. We've been talking about this for a month. We've gotten updates. We've heard from 15 people who are your constituents. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are.
First of all, I echo what Councilmember Bennett said. Thank you guys all for coming out and speaking tonight. I love the stories, especially the personal stories that speak truth into who we are, right? And being able to see past color, creed, religion, and all that fun stuff. It has no place, and I would agree with that. So I picked up the phone and called our state rep, and I just want to tell everyone here that from his mouth, he said, this is unconstitutional. So until I see the bill, understand the bill, read the bill, and it's fully baked, I don't know. I mean, we don't know what we're looking at. We don't know what we're reading. We don't know anything besides a lot of the stuff that we heard here tonight. And I firmly agree with each and every one of it, and especially if our state rep is saying it's unconstitutional, I don't think there's much to speak about until there is something out on the floor and it passes.
It's published. You can read the bill.
I've seen that, yeah, but it's
Yeah.
also like in its current form, from his mouth, it's unconstitutional. So if it's unconstitutional, it's unconstitutional.
So you think it's a bad idea?
I think it's a bad idea. If it's
Good.
unconstitutional, I'm absolutely against it.
Great.
100%.
Mayor, I'll just say, thank you all too very much for coming out. We always appreciate when our citizens come and let us know what's going on and how they feel about things. I think our staff did a great job of drafting a draft letter that could be very helpful for our lobbyists to use and going forward and guiding what may or may not happen. As Vice Mayor Chance said, we don't really know what's going to happen next. A lot of times these bills absolutely go nowhere, but sometimes we don't know that. So I'm in support of this draft letter being given to our lobbyists to use to guide them in helping the legislators make the right decision, and hopefully this bill's not going to go anywhere, or both bills.
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to speak especially tonight to our Asian community for coming. Yeah, we see you, we hear you. You are an important part of this community. You are great neighbors. You're what makes this community great. And for the young people like, is it Marley? So Marley, to speak at such a young age, thank you for doing that, and on behalf of your beliefs, I think that's really, really important. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
And your thoughts on sending the letter?
Councilmember Bennett, we don't go back and forth. Let's allow him to speak. Councilmember Hackey, do you have anything?
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to thank you all for coming out tonight. This is a huge issue. One of the things that makes our city so wonderful is our diversity, and you are a huge part of that, and we thank you for that. My wife is actually an immigrant. She's not from China, she's from England, but I can relate to a lot of the stories that you've said. We went through the process of getting her legally brought into the country and ultimately becoming a citizen. So I respect everything you've been through. I understand your concerns. I share them with you. I think this bill is at the very least misguided, but much more than that in my opinion. So I am absolutely opposed to this type of legislation in our state, and I hope we can make this not happen.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things. I repeat a lot, I think, but I really appreciate the heartfelt stories that you shared. I know even some of you said you've never talked to council. You didn't even plan on coming to speak to us tonight, and I know it takes a little bit of courage to get up there and do that, and so greatly appreciate that and appreciate you sharing those and some personal stories too. So really appreciate that. I think, and I'll say this, and I want to kind of address maybe the process that we've gone through tonight a little bit. This bill, it's early. I'm against it 100% in its current form. It doesn't make any sense. I think it is all the things that you mentioned. I don't even know like the motivation behind it, where it was kind of the genesis of it, but completely against it. Totally fine with the letter. What I don't like, and I don't necessarily appreciate, because we've gone through this before, went through this years ago, where we as council members, we went back and forth like this, and we were put on the spot to do a unofficial vote, if you will. And the proper way is make a motion, have the conversation, do it that way. Old and new business is probably not the place to do that. We need to do it in a more formal fashion, so we don't get back into kind of the wild, wild west that we had when I first got on council 5 years ago. So this is an easy one, but I don't want to get it out of control with what we're doing. So anyway.
I agree. Well, I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming out. I'm sure this hasn't been easy for any of you. Our staff has been, and our council has been following this and updating us, which I do appreciate. Thank you. You know, if our state legislator is saying it's unconstitutional, I have hopes that this will be squashed before it ever continues to move forward. It is in the early stages, which is good, because, you know, a lot of changes and it being knocked down. So we'll see what happens with it. But we do have a letter that was drafted that we will be sending. We had planned on sending this. We do support you within our community. The Asian community is very important to Mason. There's a lot of Asian residents here, and you do such good work for the community. You're such a valued part of our community, and we appreciate you and we do support you. And like I said, Mason is going to be sending a letter, so you can be assured that we are doing what we can to help. Okay, with
Thank
that
you.
being-
I do have one other thing.
Yes.
If I may.
Yes.
I want to talk to those of you who came and talked about the City of Mason's policy. In particular, I'm concerned about the brand. I know that, or I've been told that as a council member, that's not my place or our place to weigh in on like administrative, on personnel type topics. But what I'm hearing is more of a question around the definition of what is the City of Mason's brand. And I do believe that that is very much something that we are here to defend and define. You know, what is a brand? That is actually my profession. And it is a representation of who we are And it's meant to be, you need to have your brand in alignment. So how you operate, what your values, what your priorities are, should inform how your messaging is, how you treat one another within the organization, as well as how you treat your customers and the messaging that you have to your customers. We're a city government, so all of our residents are our customers. We also have customers who would be business owners. And so I think it sounds to me like we do need to actually put some thought into defining our purpose. Like, what is our mission as a city? Like, having a defined purpose or mission statement. Define our core values. And what do those mean to us? Because that's how you then make decisions that are consistent across departments, across, we have community center employees who have very different roles than, our public works or the folks who are maintaining our parks. They're different jobs. But if we've really defined our values well, that can inform everything. How we operate, what we say, the image. I also can't help but feel slightly personally attacked with a policy that talks about visible tattoos and fantasy hair color. I have had teal in my hair since 2012. I got elected to represent our community on the city council. So to say that it is not on brand, that it isn't the image of Mason to have fantasy hair color and visible tattoos, I'm sorry, but I can't help but feel like that's personal. So I think we need to do some work as a city on defining those things and then revisit, how are we actually operating and how are we putting our policies out? And I think the root, like, this is a symptom of a deeper problem, which is around brand and defining those things. So what I'm asking is if we can actually do some work on that. If we can find some budget to hire an agency to work on it, I think a third party working with us to go through that process would be really helpful. And I think that it will help to clarify so much that has been really confusing and caused a lot of harm. Like, I'm hearing a lot of harm and hurt, and I think that this work is really important.
Okay, thank you.
Can we work on a proposal or something to actually get something in the works?
I do believe, Eric, do you want to just speak briefly? I believe that the policy has been put on hold. Is that correct?
Yes, the personnel item, which was not driven by council, was driven by repeated discussions with staff. I asked the departments put a pause on that because there's a lot of misperception over what the motivations were of that. And I think it's worth taking some time to listen to folks, including folks that were here, both to try and correct that sense of perception, as well as if there are ways to improve the policy. I don't think anything that was discussed here is really the purpose or the intention of the policy. If we can clarify that, if we can do that better, we're certainly open to that. But that is not an item. Those type of personnel items are not constructively handled within a council meeting setting or with council members. The intent of the form of government is actually try and buffer those items for the sake of employees as well as council. But that is on pause, and we will take whatever time necessary to do that job of listening to folks and look for ways to improve.
Okay, thank you. All right, yes, Councilmember Spaeth.
I wanted just to say a few words too in regard to the employees that got up and spoke about the dress code. I've been on the Rules Committee for a couple of years now, and so we came up with a council code of conduct a couple years ago, and just recently even added some steps to enforce what we have in our council code of conduct. And while, I sit here, and I actually have had some staff members contact me as well about this. And one thing, though, I just think everyone needs to understand is we have rules that guide what we do here on council. The staff has rules, and it's called our charter. There's very specific things that define what we do in there. And I just want to mention these things. Article 3, which addresses council, says in section 307, it talks about the powers of council, and it's very specific about what we can and cannot get involved with. Also, Article 5, under the manager section, at section 504 talks about the powers and duties of the manager. So very specific about what the manager is responsible for. So it says what we are and what they are and what the staff is. In Article 6, the administrative departments, there's section 611, which talks about the Department of Personnel. And it says the manager shall serve as the head of the department and personnel and have the control and supervision of all administrative records and matters pertaining to the employees of the city. So while we all appear may be very empathetic to what is going on with the staff and the dress code, we do not have anything to say about it. We do not micromanage our city manager or our assistant city manager or any of the staff. That is not the council job. And I've actually said this to staff members who have come to me about this particular issue. It's a tough one. And, you know, I've got my own personal opinion about it, but I'm not going to express it here because it's not appropriate. That's not what we should be talking about here. And in our codified ordinances where we have the council code of conduct, the chapter 12103, you know, where I said it talks about what guides us and how we can enforce it so that we behave as a council. There's section 1C that says council shall not interfere with the powers and duties of the city manager and the supervision and conduct of the affairs of the administrative departments of the municipality as outlined in the city charter. And also we have a section 4 that talks about elected official conduct with city staff that outlines who has authority over staff. So we really have to follow that. I mean, if we don't, we can get removed from council if we're just absolutely, I mean, if we go so overboard where we're not following what we're supposed to be doing as council members. And we've had some issues in the past where there were council members who were overstepping their bounds and their boundaries. So I know a couple years ago, there was lots of people sitting in this audience screaming at the council at that time to stay in your lane. This is one of those situations where we need to stay in our lane. I'm sorry that it's been a very difficult time for all the staff members, but I have full confidence in our city manager and our assistant city manager and all the other staff members and department heads that they're going to take the time to listen to you all, because that is what Eric said, and Eric does what he says. We cannot do anything to help you all with this particular thing, and I don't think it's appropriate that we're going to try to force them into doing anything with the branding. I think that, again, is something we don't micromanage. That is something the city manager can make a decision about if after talking with everybody, if they feel like this is not, our brand is not appropriate for the city of Mason, then I think then they'll take care of that. They need to do that. But I just don't want anybody to be under because I think someone said they wanted the council to get involved in this. We just really can't. We are guided by our charter and our codified ordinances. So I just want to make sure everyone understands that.
No, this is not a back and forth.
We have a time recognition of visitors at the end. You can get up then and say something in regard to that. But I just want to make that statement because our hands are tied here on council. I'm sure we all have our own opinion about how we feel about what was implemented, but we just really cannot micromanage our city manager. Thank you.
Okay. Does anybody else?
Yeah, Mayor, real quick. I think I want to defend Mason here a little bit. I've been in Mason since the summer of 1980, and it's changed drastically. I used to be able to hop on my four-wheeler with a 5-gallon tank of gas and run around the city as long as I could until maybe the authorities try to get me. But I did that, and it's changed. And to your point, I remember in like 1999 when I was in college, and it was like Mason became revered. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, this was just a small little community I came from. And it was because of the diversity. And it is what it's, and where it is now. We should be extremely proud of this. And I'm not going to let some of these things dilute who we are, what we represent from especially all the personal stories we heard tonight, just about how welcoming and loving, and let's focus there. I know there's going to be hiccups. I know there's going to be things that happen, but, you know, I don't want all that to dilute the community that we do have, the leadership that we have, the attributes of living here, and I want to focus on that. I know there's things, and there's going to be hiccups that we do as cities and stupid state things, but that's not us. We're sitting here as Mason council members that love this community, and like I said, I've been here, I don't know, 45 years, I guess. Is that right? Yeah. 45 years. It's a long time. Long time. And so I really want to kind of get kind of myopic in our sense of, especially from the personal stories, again, what we heard tonight. I love the ladies in the back standing up and cheering, and you're cheering for people that, you know, you go and exercise with at a community center. That's the only community center in the country that runs in the black. Why? Because we get creative, and we bring in folks, and we do the type of programming that we do. So again, I know there's going to be things that, you know, there are going to be hot topics and stuff that can get, you know, sidetracked of some words and adjectives that we heard. But, you know, this is a great community, and it's great because of a lot of the personal stories we heard today. So I just want to echo that again and say thank you for standing up. Again, I forget who said it. We thank you, we welcome you, and we hear you. So let's focus on that. Let's focus on the community that we have at hand and control the situation and the issues that we have here. So I appreciate your time, and thanks again for all coming out.
Okay. Does anyone else have old or new business that they'd like to discuss?
Mayor, if I may, I had something that's off that topic. I just wanted to read this because I think it's real important everyone realizes how long it takes for things to happen. And I appreciate that all of our council has really supported both the police and fire department. But in our information, our packet, we were told on May 14th that the service and fire staff went to Columbus, completing the final pre-delivery inspection on the Station 51 ambulance ordered in 2023 and is expected to arrive in Mason in the next few weeks. So I just wanted to say I appreciate how forward-thinking our council is and our staff is, because it takes forever to get some of this equipment. Something that was ordered back in 2023, we're just now going to be getting it. And this is all about our safety of our community. So I just want to say thank you to all of our staff and all of our council members.
Okay. All right, next on the agenda is recognition of visitors. Would anybody like to come and take the podium? Yes. Well, no, you can't. You have to go to the podium, state your name. The public out there watching on ICRC cannot hear you if you're not at the podium. If you can state your name and your address. Yes.
It's Steve Schrader, 8602 Woodland Point, Mason. Just a quick question, and more about what you were talking about, the charter versus management. Who's responsible at the end of the day for hiring and evaluating the managers?
City council is.
Okay, so there is a relationship
the
there.
manager.
There is some control.
Yeah, for the city manager only.
Okay, but there is some control there then, to some extent.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I needed.
Hi, Laura Kajawa again, 4827 Angeline and Mason. Quick question. As a Mason taxpayer, Mason resident for over 27 years, first I got to say, I love Mason. My kids went to school here. It's a fantastic place to live. Eric actually helped me when I first moved in my house and we had problems with drainage. You helped me get it fixed with our developer and our builder, so thank you for that. I want to know, what can we do as community residents to help support not only this issue, but other issues that happen in the city, where what I heard was we don't have any say, because the only say we have is electing you as council. So what can we do to help things we care about? Not just this issue, but many issues.
Well, I think really right now, everybody being here, it's powerful. we listen to our residents when they come to council. We want to know how you feel and what you think because we represent you and we are a community and we want to do what's right for the community as a whole. So we do appreciate everybody coming here tonight to address any of the issues they have, and that's exactly what you do.
Thank you.
Yes.
My name is Vera, Vera Long, 5112 Creekstone Court, Mason. I want to say, first of all, that I think Eric Hansen is a terrific city manager. We should all appreciate the job that he does. I also think that the council obviously directs the city manager. The city manager is, I understand you don't want to micromanage him, but all of the things you vote on every time are things that you are directing the city manager to do. And if the problem is the charter, you can change the charter.
Mayor, if I may, I just want to say this. In regard to, we do not always direct the city manager about doing everything. A lot of times he directs us, and we have mutual discussions about what things will be happening. Like for instance, if there's a company that wants to come in Mason, we're not the ones who go out and recruit those companies. The staff does that. There's lots of different departments that do that kind of thing, and that information is brought back to council, and we talk about it, and we decide whether or not we're going to agree with it. So we really work together. It's not that we're telling the city manager everything he's supposed to do. And specifically, I'm going to say again, the charter defines it very, very specifically what it is we can say anything about and what we cannot. As far as changing the charter, we don't change the charter. It has to be voted on by the people. So something has to be put on for a ballot or on election day on the ballot for our charter to be changed. It's like the Constitution almost. You can't just say we're going to change it because we don't like it. It's voted on by the people. So it's not as simple as just saying us change it. I just want to make sure everyone understands that.
Okay.
Mayor, can I just make one quick comment?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I know we're past that, but one of the things that's really important is we do have a city manager, and we need to give him an opportunity to deal with this. That hasn't happened yet. This is very new in terms of the comments coming to us. The process is our city manager takes it under his umbrella, he works on it, and he comes up with a solution with his staff, and that's how it's supposed to work. Ultimately, and this is in no way any kind of a threat, if our city manager isn't doing a good job, then we have action that we can take. But that's not the case. The case is it's our city manager's, it's his process, it's his job, and our job is to let that play out. So that's all.
Well, I'm going to make one more quick comment. Eric Hansen does a phenomenal job for this city. This city is where we are today because of Eric Hansen. So, and he did hear people's complaints about this, and he did take action. So we do appreciate that, Eric. All right, next on the agenda is, well, I'm sorry, go ahead, ma'am.
Just very quickly, Katie Hauer. I think it's disingenuous for us to say that we're going to help our citizens, our neighbors, our friends, our business owners by relying on word from our state legislator, who is actually a sponsor of House Bill 1. Also, I want to just make the comment that there are 4 seats up for election on council this year.
Okay, anyone else? All right, with that, it is time for executive session. I need a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing acquisition and disposition of property.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chance? Yes. Councilmember Bennett?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gibson?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. But I'm sorry, before we go into executive session, there is a birthday here on council? There is, Josh. So, Joy, Councilmember Bennett, would you like to lead us?